Hello and a big welcome. Today we're going to be going into the past. We're going to be looking into the past, but not with a crystal ball. We're going to be using the past simple tense. Now stay to the end and you will see how we use the verb to be, as well as regular and irregular verbs. You'll see how we can turn a statement into a negative statement and how to ask questions all in the past tense. So let's jump straight in and see what the first question is. Well, the first question is, what is a tense? It's a way to style a verb so that your listener knows exactly when the action that you're talking about in your verb or in your sentence took or takes place. This is done in many different ways in different languages, but in English it's usually done with a modification to the verb. If we take a verb, I run, or to run, or I run, it doesn't tell us a great deal, and if we look it up in the dictionary it will tell us that it is to move at a speed faster than a walk, but never having both or all feet on the ground at the same time. That's the definition of a run, and it gives us a clear explanation of what run is. But it doesn't tell us when it takes place, when the action that you want to talk about takes place. I don't know whether it's happening now, whether it's already happened, or whether it's going to happen in the future. I just don't know. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next Tuesday, it could be last Tuesday. I don't know, because it doesn't tell me. But there is a way for it to tell me, and that is by modifying the verb. Now, tenses link actions to a time. I don't mean a specific time, I mean a time period. So if this is a timeline, here we've got a timeline. The center line is now, right now, this very second that we're talking about. And when we talk about what's happening now, we talk about it in the present tense. When we talk about things that are going to happen at some time in the future, we use the future tense, and the past is in the past tense. Now, in the future, nothing's happened yet, so we can't talk about things that have happened. We talk about things that will or may happen, but we can't talk about things that have actually happened. But in the past tense, that's when all the actions have already taken place. Already, all the things that's in the past have took place, and you can't change them. They're set in tablets of stone. You cannot change them, right? Because they've already happened. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. We're going to forget about the future and just concentrate on the past. Now, how do you modify a verb? Well, it all depends on the verb itself. There's lots of different types of verbs, and it all depends on which one it is that you're talking about. So there's the verb to be. We all know about the verb to be. We've all had the experience of the verb to be. There are regular verbs. There are irregular verbs. There's action verbs, verbs that tell an action of some sort. You can talk about a situation in a positive way. You can talk about it in a negative way, and these are both by modifying the verb itself. And you can also ask questions, and we do it all in the past in this video. So how do we modify a verb? Well, it depends on the verb. We're concentrating on the verb to be here. So we all know that the verbs change with the subject of a sentence. We remember from the simple present tense. I am, I, subject, am, verb. He, she and it, subjects. They all have is, he is, she is, it is. You, they and we, subject you, they and we, all I'll use the verb are, right? I am, he is, she is, it is, you are, they are, we are. Okay, that's fine. That's when you're using it in a positive way. If we're using it in a simple past way, well, then we change it slightly, not a lot, just a little bit. And I am changes to I was. I was. He is goes to he was. He was. She is changes to she was. She was. It is changes to it was. It was. Now these are all the single pronouns. I, he, she and it are all single pronouns, and they all use the verb was. All of them use the verb was. When you get onto plurals, then you use were. So you were. Well, you is just a little bit different because it's both singular and plural, but both versions carry the same verb. They both use were. So whether you're talking about you as just you, then it's were, and if you're talking about you as a group of people, then it's still were. You were, they were, and we were. So plurals use were, and singular ones use was. That's how the verb changes. So with the past tense, it allows us to talk about the way things were, conditions and things like they were in the past. I'm looking over my shoulder because that's the past, it's already gone. So I can say that yesterday, because it's gone, yesterday I was tired, which I was quite tired yesterday. So yesterday I was tired. Now the pronoun or the subject is I, and that's singular, so we use the verb was. I was tired. We can also talk about actions that have already happened, that happened in the past. So he was playing football last Tuesday. Last Tuesday is in the past, it's already gone. So he is a single pronoun or a single subject, so we use a single verb which is was. So he was playing football last Tuesday. Now we can also it's also used to talk about things that happen on a regular basis as well. So they were late again this morning. They were. We've changed to a plural subject now, so we use a plural verb to be, which is were. They were late again this morning. Again is an indication that this has happened before and it happens regularly. So it suits the simple past tense. I was and he was are both singular, where they were is plural. Here's some more examples. So you can say Linda. Now Linda is a girl's name, so it's a she. Linda was one person working out at the gym all last week. Last week puts it into the past, and Linda, singular person, was singular verb. So she was working out in the gym all last week. As I say, Linda, singular, was singular. Now, we were going for a swim, but in the end, we didn't go. So we were going for a swim, but in the end, we didn't go. Now here we've got plural, which is we and were. We were. going for a swim, but in the end we didn't go. So we're using plural verb to be here. We've changed it to were. And you were getting better with every lesson. Now you here, it can be singular or it can be plural. I could be talking about you personally, directly to you, and say, no, you were getting better last week. You were getting better with every lesson that you took. You were getting better. Or I could be talking to a whole group of people and saying to everybody, well, you were getting better with every lesson, so it was worth coming for the lessons because you were improving. You were getting better with every lesson. So I can use it. It can be used for singular or plural, but we still use the plural verb, which is were. You were getting better with every lesson. So with regular verbs, now regular verbs, these are just a wee tiny bit different because you need to check the spelling of the verb, the way that the verb is spelled. Now, most verbs, the majority of verbs that you come across are going to end up with either a D or an ED. D or ED. Just add them to the end of the verb. Give you some examples. Verbs that end in E, all you have to do is add a D to it, just a D. Now, love, we all know what love means. We all love something or other, even if it's chocolate, but we all love something. Now, love is a verb that ends in E, so we just add a D, and it becomes loved. Loved. Okay? Same with live. Live. It ends in an E. So we add D. It becomes lived. We've got loved. We've got lived. And same with time. Time. Different endings here. We've got ME, but the last letter is still an E. So we just add a D and it becomes timed. So we've got loved, lived and timed. Just add an E. If it's an E, just add a D. Sorry, add a D. Now, once you've checked to see if it's an E and if it doesn't end in an E, most of the other verbs are going to end with two consonants. And in that case, you add ED. Let me show you what I mean. So talk. Talk is a verb that ends with two consonants, L and K. Talk. T-A-L-K. So it ends in LK. Talk. So two consonants, we add ED. Okay? Put them together and we've got talked. Talked. Right? Now another one is walk. Walk, again, W-A-L-K, again, L-K. So we add an ED because LK are both consonants. So here we've got walked, walked, talked, and walked. Now here with lift, we've got two consonants. Again, F and T are both consonants. So we add ED. That's all you do, just add ED. If it's got two consonants, don't matter, just add ED and you've got it clicked. So remember here, we're talking about talked and walked and lifted, right? Do you notice the difference in the endings, the way that it's pronounced? They're both spelled ED, but one is pronounced talked, the other lifted, lifted. So what's the difference between t and ed? Well, there's a video, link to a video at the top of the screen. If you're not sure, then it will tell you how to decide whether to say t or ed at the end when you see an ed. Check the link, that link at the top of the screen, and that will help you there. So the next thing is verbs ending in a Y, right? A Y. If there's a Y at the end, then you change that Y. You've got to get rid of the Y, change the Y into an I, and then add ed. That's all. Just Y into an I and add ed. Now give me an example. Fry. So it's got a Y. What we do is we need to change that Y into an I. So we change the Y into an I and then add ed, so it becomes fried. Fry becomes fried. Okay. Marry. Marry, again, it ends in a Y. Last letter Y. What do? I change the I into the Y into an I, and I add ed. So marry and then add ed. Married. Now here again, the sound is different. One was fried and the other one's married, and they're both IED. But it all depends on the original sounding, the way that you sound the Y. If you sound the Y as Y, fry, then you keep that sound. And if you sound the word as in marry, marry, then you keep the I sound. So you keep the sound of the original verb and then add ed. Now, verbs ending in a vowel and a consonant. Okay, so there's a vowel and then a consonant. What you got to do is, this is a little bit complicated, so you need to write this down in your book. Make a note of this. Remember this. What you do here is you take the last consonant. So there's a vowel, the last two letters is a vowel and a consonant, or a vowel and a consonant, looking at your way. A vowel and a consonant. And then you must double this consonant. This consonant, you must put another one. Double it means to put another one of the same there. You put another one of the same, and then you add ed. Let me show you in an example here. So, stop. Here, O, P. O is the vowel, P is the consonant. Now, this fits the rule exactly. So we need to, what do we need to do? We need a P, another P, and then an ED. So we need to add a P and then the ED. So we've got two P's in the middle now. Stop. You don't take anything away, you just add another P and then add ed, and that way you've got your stopped, and it's converted then into past tense. Now here, another one, travel. This again, EL, a vowel, and then a consonant. So what's the rule? You put another L, the last consonant, you put another one, and then you add ed. So you've got travelled. Travelled. We've got stopped and travelled. Notice there, stopped and travelled. So watch that video. I'll put a link to it down underneath in the comments below. I'll put a link to a video anyway. So make sure that you watch it. And I'll put a link to a couple of videos that is good to watch there as well. So now we'll look at irregular verbs. Okay, these are verbs that don't conform to any rules at all. There's no rules. I can't give you any rules. I'm afraid you've got to work on these. So once again, remind you, your notebook comes in handy here, your notebook. So we take the verb come. The verb come is an irregular verb because we can't apply any rules to changing it. It's just a different word. It's came. Come is the base verb, and in the past tense it becomes came, came, or came, whichever you want to say. I say came. Swim. Swim's another irregular verb. Do you know the past tense of swim? Swim. There's no rules to apply, it's just a different word, and it's swam. Swam is the past tense of swim, swim and swam. And drive. Drive, again, no rules, no rules, it's just a different word. When we talk about drive in the past, we say drove, he or she drove here today. They drove here because they've already got here. So it's drove. Eat. Eat. Do you know the past tense of eat? The past tense of eat is ate. Ate. That's the past tense of eat. I ate my breakfast, or I ate a hearty breakfast this morning and I enjoyed it. And buy. Buy is another one. We do this every day. You buy something every day. There's not many days go by when you don't buy anything, even if it's just a newspaper or a bottle of milk. But you buy something. And the past tense of buy is bought. Okay, all together. Bought. So, make a note of these. These are the starters for your irregular verbs. Write these down in your book. We've got come becomes came, swim becomes swam, drive becomes drove, eat becomes ate, and buy becomes bought. Let's move on to forming negative statements now with the verb be, with the be verb, okay? The only way to learn is to talk. Now, we've already seen a little bit earlier on that the past tense of the be verb is I was, he was, she was, it was, you were, they were, and we were. So they are the past tense. And if we want to change these into the negative in the simple past tense, we need to add not after the verb. And this is the same for them all. So, I was not late for work today. He was not at his desk when I called. She was not driving the kids to school. It was not making a noise when it ran. Talking about a machine here. It was not barking very loudly, talking about the dog. But it was not. All you have to do, just add the word not after the past tense verb of was. And it's the same for were. When you get plural ones, plural subjects, you were not. You just add not after the verb. So they were not, and we were not. You were not. They were not. We were not doing whatever you were doing, or in whatever the remaining part of your sentence is. But to make it negative, you just add the word not. They were not. I was not. He was not, etc. Just as simple as that. Now, of course, I was not is suitable for contraction. So you can use I wasn't, contract was not into wasn't, and use that in place of I was not. You can use either here. It doesn't matter which. And if you're not sure about contractions, then there's a link at the top of the screen to a video that we made earlier, all about contracting words down, certain words or groups of words that you can contract down. So check out the video and see. Again, I'll put the link into the comments below this video so you can be able to go and watch it. Now, when you talk about plurals, we say you were not. And again, this will contract down into you weren't. You weren't. So you can say I wasn't. I wasn't there. He wasn't there. You weren't there. We weren't there. So you can use the contractions or the full form of was not and were not. It's up to you. Entirely up to you. Now, if you want to form a question about something that happened in the past, you have to change the verb and the subject around. Reverse them around. Put them in a different place. Right, so here we've got a statement, she was a cyclist. In the past, I'm telling you that in the past, she was a cyclist. Now, to turn this into a question, what we need to do is the subject, she, and the verb, was, we need to change them around. So we say, was she a cyclist? And then we add a question mark at the end. We must add the question mark at the end. All we have to do is change the verb and the subject change places. So the verb comes first when you're asking a question, was she a cyclist? And then you add the question mark. Don't forget the question mark. If you're writing, it is so important. It's completed question when you're writing. Now that was for the verb to be. To form an action verb, something that happens, you don't use the verb to be. It isn't in the sentence, so it isn't just a matter of changing things around. You wouldn't say likes she the film, so we don't change them around here. What we have to do is add a word, and the word that we add is did. Did she likes the film? Now, we don't use likes. We also have to change likes. And as it says at the top, we have to use the verb in its base form. Use the base form of the verb. So the S has to go. Did she like the film? And don't forget, there's a question mark at the end. Okay? So you must forget, if you're writing it, you've got to include the question mark. So looking at the rule here, the rule says we add did at the beginning of the sentence here. We add did, so we've done that. And then we use the base form of the verb. The base form of the verb. It isn't likes. And it's every verb, in every question like this, you say, does she like? Did she walk to work? Not she walks to work, but did she walk to work? So you just use the verb in its base form, and then of course you add the question mark. You must add the question mark if you're writing. That's pretty important. So now is a good place to stop, because you can't take everything in all at once. It takes time, a little bit at a time, and I don't want to overload you. You can't learn everything in a day. Remember, a little every day, 15 minutes a day is going to be a lot better than 2.5 hours one day a week. So watch this video every day for a week, or until you fully understand what we've been talking about today. And also, if you got any benefit from the video, please give us a thumbs up, and that way it will let me know that I'm creating the right sort of content for you. And if you're new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button just below here, and press the bell to make sure that YouTube will let you know when we release new videos. I don't want you to miss out on the next video. So please leave a comment below and let me know where you live and what sort of topics you would like help with. But before I go, here are the rules, the 4 rules for deciding verb endings that I promised you that I will put up so that you can take a screenshot of them. So here they are. Take a screenshot, save it to your phone, save it, print it or whatever, save it on your computer, put it at the side of your desk so that you can look up and see which endings you put with which type of verb. Here are all the 4 rules that we've talked about already in this video. So that just leaves for me to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video. So until next time, please take care, stay safe, and practice, practice, practice. Bye.